Hello and welcome to the Link Up. As usual, I'd like to begin with my check-in. How are you? How are you feeling? You feeling really good today, top of the world? Or are you feeling a little, I know there's some days that we're all like that, but we have to make sure that when we're feeling that little malaise, that it's just maybe tiredness or a little, I don't know, the stress of what is happening during the day, or if it's something else. And if it's something else, then, it's often good for you to just give your doctor a call. If you've got a good relationship with them, then that's great. Just say, hey doc, I'm feeling like this. Should I be concerned? And they'll tell you what is the best thing for you to do. If you need to, go and get tested. But it's better to be safe than to be sorry. Today on the Link Up, some Barbadians who are making an impact across the globe and their new music releases, and fascinating for me, a new surgical procedure, on the spine that can have you back at work the next day within 24 hours. I know, right? It makes me remember my 3-month-long journey back to whatever after my back surgery many moons ago. So this is going to be interesting. So today we're going to make connections. We're going to link up with Indra, and Indra is a dear friend. Over the years, she has been the backup singer for many a well-known calypsonian and entertainer, not only here in Barbados, but across the globe. And she has a new release, and I am loving it. It's Wake Up Call, and it's very, very uplifting. But she's a very uplifting person, and you'll get a chance to meet her. Joyful, that's what I always think of when I think of Indra. And then Ian Bassbwoy, Boyce, he's got a debut album out, Diary of a Quarantined Musician. No need to ask why he called it that, but anyway, you're going to chat with Ian, and we're going to hear some of the music on that debut album, and I'm very, very pleased to have him join us. I think this might be the second time around. We chatted with him in the early quarantine days. And then Dr. Jackson Cohen is going to join us. Dr. Cohen is the medical director of Interventional Pain Medicine, that division of physical medicine and rehabilitation at the Memorial Healthcare System in Miami. So he's going to be joining us about that procedure that I told you about. It's lumbar stenosis. And for many people, it's certainly going to be a great way for them to overcome mobility issues, that pain and so on that they suffer, and not have to suffer through, the healing process for weeks on end. It's a tiny, tiny little surgery. The wonders of modern medicine. I'm telling you, I'm certainly looking forward to linking up with Dr. Cohen. And remember, you can participate. You can watch our stream live on Facebook at CBC Barbados. Good morning to all of you who have joined us already. You can share your comments and your questions in real time. But first, after the break, I'm going to share what's on my mind. You might be surprised after the break. do something a little different today, you know, out of the ordinary. What's on my mind? And I bet you're thinking it's COVID-19, huh? Mm-mm. It's not. But technically, I guess the first thing that I'm going to, you know, share is because of that. But anyway, today's front page. Can you see it? Mental stress. I was thinking, coming up the road to work this morning, that so many people are stressed. And then I got my paper and I realized, oh, yeah, counselors suggesting here in the paper that more family time for youth. Today's World Teachers Day as well. Today's the Teachers' Day, and they're under their own particular types of stress. Everybody is stressed. Every single time I get an email or a WhatsApp telling me new numbers or who we've lost, it's stressful. You know, especially when you think about what that is doing to people's families, people's lives. And then I think of my colleagues who have to deal with this on a daily basis, making sure that the information, hello Heather, it's always nice to see you, blessings. And it's always, you know, important that we get the information out there and that the information that we share is the correct information. Because everybody is glued now to finding out the numbers and looking at graphs and charts, and we need to just step back a little bit and take a breath, because the stress is real, and all of those non-communicable diseases that they talk about are impacted by stress. Some people have non-communicable diseases that stress causes flare-ups. Yeah, flare-ups of. That's grammatically incorrect. Somehow we're not sounding right in my own ear. But causes flare-ups. So we've got to find a way, each of us individually, to release that stress in some form or fashion. Get some fresh air or turn off the social media for a little bit. And even though they're saying that, you know, the youth need more family time, sometimes because now we're all under one another and, you know, after a certain time with curfew, sometimes we might just need to like not be so close, and each of us find our own way to de-stress. But I want you to do that though. Think of ways that you can switch off just for a little bit. I'm not telling you do it for 24 hours because that causes its own problems, but find a way to do that. I've had to get back in touch with laughter. Laughing is, you know, they say the best medicine, laughter, but it's difficult to find anything amusing. So, you know, find your ways to smile and feel a little better. But, you know, to our teachers out there, thank you for what you're doing. I cannot begin to imagine what you all are going through on a daily basis, but thank you. And thank you for looking out for our children and looking after them. Then, yesterday was World Sight Day. Today is World White Cane Day, I think it is. So I'm asking you, just give a thought for the blind and those who have visual impairments. It can be difficult and it can be frustrating, especially for those who are newly visually impaired or are meeting those challenges. But they also have successes, so we have to congratulate and praise them when that happens. And then tomorrow is World Food Day. Yeah, October is a very busy month, huh? Starts off with the Day of Older Persons on the 1st, and you know, each week has many days which represent something. So tomorrow is World Food Day. And perhaps give a thought to, you know, growing some of your own food, especially with some of the prices that they have, you know, happening about the place these days, and some interesting things that people are doing and interesting containers that they're using. I really must share some of that with you. Someone sent me in WhatsApp tires that they not only made a sofa out of it, and I wonder, how does that smell? Because tires got a serious smell, you know what I mean? But some really pretty ones that they're actually putting vegetables in, you know, growing vegetables in. And that's a fantastic way to recycle. So perhaps there's a thought. So I will make a note of that, and I'm going to share those images with you. Not only are they pretty, but they're functional. Excellent way to do that. Some of the things that are on my mind, and the last thing that's on my mind is, you know how people wear things or do things and they don't really know the history behind it? Let me show you these. Now, these cornrows, as what we call them, cane rows, they used to be known as, yeah, fashionable. I'm sure you're looking at some of the patterns and thinking, whoa. Well, let me tell you, there is a history behind these. And I'm not sure if you know, but it's filled with innovation and really resilience of our ancestors. And one of these is that these slaves back in Colombia, according to an article that was done by Tadzukwa Chiwanza, she wrote about this. And these have African origins, and they're common all around the world. But you see these cane rows and cornrows? Do you know that they actually were maps? Maps of how to escape, where to go, that sort of thing. Take a look at them, and then you'll realize, not necessarily only there for pretty sake, but they have a history and a reason. Maps. Think about it. Brilliant. All right, so I've cleared my mind. Time for us to link up after the break.
to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up off the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mire. Walk under the cover of the Most High. He is the only, the great I am. Keep trotting along to the promised land. Seek the light and His Most High plan. This is not a drill nor a game, I man. This is a wake-up call. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You gotta wake up in these last days. Serious time, better get saved. Seek the Most High, give Him the praise. Unto the hills every hand raised. Gotta wake up in these last days. Serious time, better get saved. Seek the Most High, give Him the praise.
Isn't that sweet? It just is so uplifting. It wakes you up. It really does. And we say hello, good morning as we link up. Or is it still morning for you where you are, Indra? Sweet. It's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm grateful. How are you?
I'm surviving, and as I like to tell people, I'm still trying to make sense of a nonsensical world. So that's basically where I am at right now. But where are you? Because the images that we're seeing in that video are definitely not tropical.
Too high for Barbados. I'm in the UK. So the video was filmed in England.
Beautiful though.
Are you
Pardon?
hearing me good?
You're a little low. You're a little low.
Okay, let me make my face bigger in the video.
Well, no, I can see you. Is the hearing bit that is a little difficult.
Okay, I'm a little closer to the mic now.
Okay. All right. So it's in England, but I know that you've been traveling. But for those who might not know who Indra, Rudder is, let's just go back. All right. Let's go back to the days when you were here, and tell them about how Indra got into the whole thing of backup singing, but also writing and then performing for some of the big names in the music business.
Well, I was always singing. How I got into backgrounds was I was a part of a harmony group, and our first background session, we got an ad with Deepu Panjwani when we were still in school. But the first, and then we used to sing with Splash Band while we were in BCC. We used to sing with Splash Band on a night, just hobby class, just for the love of it. And our first actual background vocal job came with Chris Allman, singing for DJ Grandmaster. Then after meeting, being introduced to Eddie Grant, we started doing background vocals for a whole set of artists from Barbados and Trinidad. And then for Eddie, the group disbanded like friendly just because of location changes. And then I stayed and just started doing hotels and everybody's background vocals while I was writing and recording my own acoustic music.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting that because the genre that you are most noted for is that particular genre personally, but you back up, reggae, you back up calypso, and so is your music taste as eclectic as the performances that you do, or is the acoustic, more the genre you cling to?
yeah, acoustic is more home to me. Because I think because most of the song I usually start writing with guitar or the guitar soon follows. But I do love, obviously I love, my mother's a Trini, so I grew up on like Trini soca and calypso, and through Eddie's influence and stuff, that was still at an early age for me. I learned even more about like the backlog of I guess our indigenous soca music and stuff. But I do love music of all genres. But when I'm listening to music that for my personal just enjoyment in between songwriting, because I don't like to listen to other people's music while I'm writing, so that I make sure I don't like barber anybody's stuff. But it's like a lot of Latin music, a lot of Cuban music, zouk, African music, just reggae, just a cross pollination thing. But when I'm writing, it's usually I start with guitar.
And I will ask you a question that I ask other artists who write. Which comes first, the melody or the lyrics?
Sometimes, nice question. Sometimes for me, the lyrics might come, and then other times I'll hear like melody, and then I'll just record it in a voice note. Or if I don't get to record it and I remember it, then I know it's like worth delving into a little bit more. If I forget it, then I just swipe. But sometimes I'm just playing on the guitar, and then I just kind of step back before I like start to invade the song. I start to kind of see what, because majors and minors, they affect us different ways. Music tones affect us different ways, which is why when you have a loved one in the hospital, we know not to play heavy metal for them, because it has a certain vibration. It does something. You don't no old dub. Not that it wouldn't make people dance, but there's certain music that every type of music and every chord and every type of instrument has a certain messaging, a certain pulse to it. So I usually just try to say, what is the message that harmonizes with these chords? And then sometimes a melody might come and maybe words, or other times I'll look at my voice note and say, oh, this kind of matches with this. So it's all different ways, where sometimes people give me a rhythm. So it's just your willingness to find my own place in it and not become something else if it's a different style, but to be myself all the time and just see how I can most comfortably and honestly be myself, even if it's not my default.
But that's not only just in your music, that's how you see life, isn't it? I seem to get that from you, that you are totally in tune with, like, there are people that you can talk to, and they're like, how can I say this without sounding like woo woo, but in touch with the pulse of the earth. Then the earth speaks to them, the universe speaks to them. That's what I mean, and you always strike me as being in touch with the pulse of nature for some reason.
Well, before I knew it, I mean, now that I know better, I know that for me, music is a God-given gift. So I always just, for me, and I'm just like a natural girl. That's just, I don't know if it's the indigenous in me. That's just, I've always been that kind of barefoot girl, don't quite fit in, but people get along with you because you realize if you don't get along with me, I'm all right. I might shed a couple tears, but this is me. So the same thing in like music or anything, especially like working in different studios or working with different types of people. And creative people, we're not necessarily the most cookie cutter people. There's lots of different personalities and stuff. But for me, it's like I still am myself, but when I'm working with different people, I also don't want to like impose who I am, but I'll still be myself, but let them be themselves. And somehow it always works out when you just like not try to impress anybody. Hopefully my God-given gift will do that. But for me, I just want to always be real. Because if you're performing in your real life, then you rob yourself of your actual like your character, who God made you. You're robbing yourself if you're never actually yourself. So I just find that it works for me and it works for my field, and it helps me to work with different types of people who, even if we might not understand exactly why we are the way we are, or we might be different, we just, at least musically, we kind of acknowledge, all right, we're not quite cookie cutter people, and we just accept that. So I find for me, when I'm true to myself, when I spend a lot more time in creation than I do in cities and around the busy kind of life, that doesn't do good for me. So I know I know the environment that it takes to help me pour out best to people, and that's just nice, light cooking, cleaning, quiet life, nature vibe, and that's just me.
Stuff, and this is why I say, you know, you just like the pulse of the earth. That's what, you know, I get when I see you. And then you have a blog, you know, called it's Joy Within, and again, that's just part of who you are. So how did blogging come along? What you know propelled you to do it and to share, because that's so revealing of one's inner self, especially that particular blog. So, you know, how did that come about?
I went through, like everybody, I went through so many challenges in my life, like so many challenges beyond just the artistry, because obviously as an acoustic artist, that was a lifelong fight to even like keep trying in that vein and not compromise myself musically. But just a lot of personal challenges, a lot of things. And that blog came after I was living in Jamaica for a while. And I was writing, working enough. Working with Vegas and Stone Love, who I still, I'm working with Rory Stone Love, but I was just writing 4 songs a day nonstop. And at that time, and just before then, I was touring with Mashell for 2 years, and we were working nonstop. And at one point, I was like, like what is going on? And honestly, I I had funny enough, a wake up call when I was like, yo, I'm a woman. I'm living my life as if I'm one of these, like my musical brothers who are just like traveling, but they have their families. And honestly, I was living most of my life like music. I was married to music. And that's, as it might impress people, but that's not really healthy. And for me, just the views that I have, which might not harmonize with today's messaging, I felt like I had to take some purposeful quiet time, take a back step. I literally changed my number, moved on a farm, started farming, hiking, gardening, going to spring every day, and just reflecting. And it was the first time when I was contemplating, like, but could I even think of doing something or loving something like how I love music? I love writing, I love all those things, but music has been always like beyond my painting. It was always the most common, the most, what's the word, prominent gift for me. And then basically the father, who I only had now started listening to, because before I was, you know, dabbling in a whole bunch of other nonsense. And I finally felt like this call to be still. And then living on the farm, this whole thing, I was introduced to blogging. I can't remember how, but I just remember God just telling me one time, you're supposed to start a blog and rekindle your love for writing without the pressure of music, like trying to make it, trying to push your artistry, trying to this. Just remember your love for writing and share without talking. And I was, the truth, I'm talking to you and I love this conversation, but I like singing more and being quiet more.
I
I'm not
understand.
a talking person, yeah. So I started blogging, and I was actually going through a horrible situation. Like I'd never been through it in my life. But that's usually when you give your life to God, the enemy's like, I coming after you. And he came hard. I was in a horrible situation. I don't want to really go into depth because it involves somebody else, and
That's
I
fine.
don't
That's
like to
fine.
blame.
No, that's
But
fine.
In blogging, first of all, blogging became a way of preserving my mind. When I was being told a lot of negative things, literally, I was like, wait, I've never been through this. I know this is a lie, but because I'm not like a volatile woman, or I'm going to tell you to your face this and that, I would just be like aching and crying inside and outside. And blogging was my private time to be able to preserve my mind, honestly. And then little by little, it started growing, and I would see different people from different countries. And then it became like from an audience of one to people in 90 countries. And in time, then I said, you know what? Well, if I'm taking, well, I didn't really take a break from music. I had a home studio. I was still recording, releasing songs, not in Barbados, but in Europe, working with European producers in Spain, Barcelona, Sweden, Switzerland. I just didn't share it in Barbados, honestly. I didn't really feel that people were interested. And then I started saying, well, if at least I could write about my island, so I could share about Barbados. If my music people here might still be interested, there's 20,000 people online. Maybe I could share other people, like introduce other people. So I started saying, like, who are all my interesting sisters that I know, who I could share their story, or just invite them to share about their business, because they're real, like, shy too, or they don't really like to big themselves up, but I could big them up. So then I realized that the blog could be a platform for other sisters too, and not in a feminist way, because I'm not a feminist at all. I'm the other side, but in a sisterly way, which is something that I find we miss sometimes. So I felt kind of compelled to, like, you know, bring my other sisters and meet other sisters along the way, because other people message me too and introduce themselves, and I was like, yeah, come on. So
Okay, we're gonna just take a break, and we are going to let you breathe because I know that this has you very uncomfortable. But we're coming back to it because I'll tell you why. It's making connections again and linkages, and you would realize. I don't know if you heard what was on my mind, that I was sharing. You know that a lot of what you were saying has a lot to do with overcoming that stress that so many people are going through today, and it is how you're handling it that is important. And we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Breathe. We're making connections on the link up, and when I say making connections, it's not only linking up with individuals, but also things that they do within their lives, and you'd be surprised at the synergy that happens when you are going down the road with one thing and then something else occurs, and you realize that there are far more linkages in the world than you really realize. And today we're chatting with writer, singer, and blogger Indra. And Indra has a site, it's Joy Within, and there's so much when you read, you know, and see the imagery that is on that site. Everything is nature sometimes, you know, in terms of forests and the earth and landscapes, and somehow in the middle there you'll see a small figure, which is Indra. um, you will see her behind a tree or in front of a tree, and that's why I said, you know, when it comes to feeling the pulse of earth, and I don't mean earth as in the ground, I mean earth, you know, the planet. So I know that things emotionally can touch you, and especially when one is going through a trauma of some kind, and you seem to get more in tune with either self or something outside of self. And so your blogging perhaps saved you. It kept you sane. And that's what, when I talk about linkages, because when I was sharing what's on my mind, I was telling, you know, our friends, our viewers, to find something that will help them to de-stress. And not only just for, you know, not 24 hours or 3 days or whatever. Find little spots, little pockets of time in a day just for you, and to reconnect with self. It is very important. So, right, let me stop blabbing and let me go back to your blogging. And you were talking, I think, about those connections and how one then links with other people, and yours was a sisterhood that you perhaps are now creating. You know, it wasn't one that was there before. So I interrupted you. Continue.
No, you didn't interrupt. You actually reminded me of something, because as much as it's nice to tune into self, it's helpful to remember that we're also here for others. We're made in plural on purpose. And that's also what the blog was about. After a while, it's like, I don't want to just be blogging about me, you know? But for those people that you just mentioned, because honestly, sometimes my heart hurts harder for other people than it does for myself. I God has sustained me through some storms that sometimes people are going through, and I'm like, oh, here's how to go through that storm, you know? And they'll be like, you went through that? And I'm like, mm-hmm. So it's like, for people listening or watching now, like literally, we could sometimes put ourselves on too much of a focal point. Like we could, especially unfortunately as women, we are given this gift to feel a little more strong. Not that we're stronger, but we are a little more known for our feelings, and we put it that way for the come from any comments. But our feelings don't necessarily, they don't mean the truth. So like, remember, even though when you feel something, to tell yourself the truth. It's like, I might feel alone, but I'm not alone. So remember to tell yourself the truth, because even though we want to be honest with what we're feeling and not just like hide our feelings or swallow them because they're going to bubble to the surface, you still want to guard your mind, because it's like how people like affirmations and the things that we say, the things that we think, the more that we think them, it's like embossing them in our mind and our memory. So it's important to, even if you say, okay, I feel down today, to preserve your mind and tell yourself the truth. I may feel down today, but I am not broken. I may feel low today, but there are people who love me. I am loved. So it's still to tell yourself the truth. I just had to say that before I talk about the blog. But yeah, the blog with a sisterhood is nothing formal, and some of the women I've never met, and some people who are still messaging. Honestly, it's a bit tough for me, because it's not really like a free for all. I still stand for certain things, and as much as I'm not the judge of anybody else, there's still certain messages that I don't want to be the to open the gate for certain messages, because I know honestly that I'm very much about sisterhood and brotherly love, but I'm also not about independent woman. We don't need no men. We need men. So there's certain messages that I have to like protect the blog from. But at the same time, once I can find like people or they come to me and we can harmonize our message or
Uh-huh.
realize we may think or believe slightly different things, but you're welcome still. Uh-huh.
Great. Sorry, I have a habit sometimes of when I forget the delay, that we have a slight delay. But it's interesting that you said that, because the blog's Indra, and Indra is the blog, but still they are two separate entities. So how do you deal with that?
Um, I just remember to be myself, like be myself, honestly, because it's like on stage, you're singing a song, but you're not given, it's not the type of, not you're not given, but it's not the type of environment where you explain what led to you writing this song. So blogging helps me to, without making a sound, to just write and express, and hopefully somebody will receive it, um, without it's not a different message that I would have in my music. It's just a longer kind of message. And it's just a part of me that sometimes people, like how much people love Bob Marley now. But if they were to sit down and have a long conversation about Bob, with Bob, about what's going on now, they might be like, it's the same Bob, but it's the same Bob who writes Don't Worry, Be Happy, is the same Bob who writes the other militant songs that he may not expand on unless you have a full conversation. So that when I first started the blog, it did feel a little weird for me, because honestly, sometimes when people are like, "Oh, you're so quiet in crowds," yeah, I'm very quiet in crowds. But with writing, it allows you to express, which was new for me, because with music, you're always singing and then quiet. You're learning a song or in rehearsals, you only speak or make a sound when it's your turn. So it was a bit different for me, because sometimes I just want to be like, egg, this, and blogging challenges you to put some fruit, like put some body on the branches, but still be yourself.
Okay. Well, let us find out where we're going to get Wake Up Call from. I'm going to chat with Ian, Bassbwoy, Boyce next, but I want you to come back,
Right.
because even though I said I'm not going to talk about the pandemic, it's still our reality right now. And so, how you are surviving it and what you're doing to, I don't know, keep sane. All of that is important for people who are watching us today, who are tuning in to us. So, I just want to know about Wake Up Call. In 2 minutes, tell me about Wake Up Call, and tell me how we can access it.
Okay. Last minutes. Wake Up Call is a reggae EP. It's featuring Wake Up Call and Crying Out, produced by Chris Chemist of Reality Shock Records here in the UK. They're on iTunes, Spotify, and any other digital platform like Bandcamp and all of that. So just Google it. Wake Up Call Reggae EP Indra. Um, the story behind Wake Up Call is really not a story, is like literally the time is now. I think everybody, regardless of what you believe, has had some degree of a wake up call, whether you choose to be sleeping or to put your ears like this. It doesn't mean that you haven't seen the signs, that none of us has ever gone through anything like this before, because there has never been anything like this before, and that's a red flag. So basically, to guard your mind, because um there is an arm wrestling going on. I gotta be honest, but I also want to be respectful, because I am using the media right now, right? And I respect you for inviting me here. So you don't wake if you guard your mind, you don't wake up and turn on the radio to hear bad news. You got to read the good news, inhale that, meditate on that before you receive any other news. So that's basically what I'm saying. Please, like, wake up. Don't just believe everything you're fed, and don't just eat from everywhere, because then you're eating good food with garbage and calling it a meal. So wake up call is basically a message, a plea, and hopefully a wake up call. And morning, Mom.
Okay. Well, Indra, thank you for this, and Heather is sharing on Facebook that art is my joy within. God is good. Thank you, Peter and Indra Denise. And thank you so much, Heather. It's always lovely to have you in our space. And we're going to invite Indra back into the space with Ian, say around quarter after the hour, somewhere around there, so that we can just touch base then on what you just said, because that is one of the challenges I personally have in terms of getting the message out there, but the information that I'm inputting sometimes is a little negative, and as a positive person, I found recently that I was losing that in myself, and so I had to find ways of finding me again. So thank you very much. I just got you are welcome, and we're going to chat it a little bit again. So coming up next, we've got Ian Bassbwoy Boyce, and he's got a debut album out, and believe you me, the music's nice and you're going to enjoy. So when we come back, you'll get to meet him. It's sweet. You know, if you could just leave it there a little bit, let's enjoy it. That's just one of the tracks coming from Ian Boyce. And with Ian, it's so difficult not to name drop, because he has opened for, you know, and shared the stage with the likes of Jesse Dixon and Kirk Franklin and Shirley Caesar and Hezekiah Walker and Morgan Heritage, my goodness, Barrington Levy. And in Barbados, he has worked with Nicholas Branker, our own Grammy-nominated producer and the recent recipient of Doctors, Nicholas Branker from the University of the West Indies, as an engineer. So Ian has come up in music, you know, the production side as well as the entertainment side. And this particular type of music is his kind of groove. This is what he's known for, that kind of funky soul kind of music.
Vibes.
It's a wonderful vibe. So nice to see you, Ian.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I can't believe it's been a year already.
I know.
Wow, wow, wow.
And
Time has
so
just,
much has happened
yeah,
in
yeah.
that
Time
year
has
to,
eluded us.
yeah, to all of
Yeah.
us. So you've
Mm-hmm.
been busy in the year, I'm happy to see. So perhaps, for those who didn't get to see you when you joined us last year, just a little
Mm-hmm.
background about your Barbadian heritage, and then let's talk, because I don't know if you got to hear some of what we
Oh
were
yeah,
chatting with Indra, and it, it's given
yeah,
me a
yeah,
particular type
yeah,
of positive vibe right now. So I don't know,
yeah.
what's the year
It's
been like for you, and tell us about your roots first of all.
yeah. Obviously, 100% Asian. No doubt about it. Born and bred in St. Thomas. I just want to say hi to the relatives, hi to the family, hi to everyone in St. Thomas. Hope you guys are doing great. I know things are a bit crazy down there right now with the virus, etc. So with yeah, my prayers are with everyone. So just wishing all you guys the best. Like you said, I I I don't like to name drop. I should just
I
put that out
know.
there. But
I did it for
you
you.
know, I know. But I started at a very young age in the church, like almost every musician. Started in the church at a small community church in Spring Farm, St. Thomas. And like around 14 years old, I auditioned for the gospel band Face to Undaunted under the leadership of now Dr. Winston Clark. And as a matter of fact, it started before then because I was playing percussion for Punka's dance group in high school. So
Wow.
it really started back there on percussion. And then from there, I migrated to the drums in church. And then shortly after that, like I said, around 14 years old, I migrated to the bass, and that's where I auditioned for Face to Undaunted. The rest is history. And here we are now, 2021. Here we are. But it's been an interesting journey, man. And it's just sitting and listening to Indra's conversation. I'm just here like, wow. Sometimes you feel like you're going through the process alone,
Uh-huh.
but then to actually hear someone else verbalize it, it's like, wow, wow.
Uh-huh.
So basically, everything that she just said, the title of my album speaks volumes, and it kind of ties in with everything she was just talking about. Diary of a Quarantine Musician, and that year, 2020, and I keep saying, it either made you or it broke you. And for me, it did a combination of both because for us in the music industry, we lost just about everything for just about over a year. And it's only like a couple of months ago I started about working. So that entire year was, I don't want to say it was a setback because I look at these things as ways of developing yourself. Yeah, I mean, and again, Indra alluded to it. It causes you to go into your personal space and take a close look at yourself and say, am I going to come out of this defeated, or am I going to take this opportunity to just learn more about myself and just move on from here? Because, like I said, it was a crazy year. It was a crazy year, and there's something about us creatives, and I heard her say also that these kind of adversities causes us to zone in and start writing. Right, and that's basically what happened because when we spoke in September or October, that's when I went into the closet. Forgive me, I don't know why that sounded so funny, but I went into the closet and I wrote my first single, Bassbwoy's Joy. And like I said, I was just doing covers throughout the entire pandemic. I just wanted to put music out there that folk can enjoy.
We
And I
did.
said to myself, right, and I said to myself, you know what? Let me just zone in, let me focus. And I wrote Bassbwoy's Joy. I wasn't expecting the feedback that I got, but fast forward, I have an album in 2021, and sometimes it still hasn't hit home yet, but here we are after coming through what we came through last year. And not to say that 2021 hasn't brought its challenges either, You know what I mean? It has been a rough beginning. And only yesterday I said to someone, wait a minute, we're in the 15th of October already.
Uh-huh.
The 15th of October. So, everything is just going like bam, 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 bam. And like I said, you gotta just decide if you are gonna learn from this experience, if you're gonna grow from this experience, or if you're gonna still stay stuck in 2020 and say, look what the pandemic did.
Yeah, well, January is going to be 2 years. Um,
Yeah,
so what you're saying is totally underscored by other entertainers and other creatives who have
yeah,
not been able to do anything.
anything.
And sometimes I sit down and the magnitude of that,
Hmm.
not being able to pay your bills, to buy the basics, and you have families. I don't think people really realize um, what that has done
Yeah.
to creatives.
I mean, if I can just go back to church here for a quick second, all right?
Yeah.
So in that year, I lost a major income, like
Hmm.
major income. But in that year, my rent was paid, all my utilities were paid. Um, Not one day did I have to pick up the phone and call someone and say, I need to borrow. Can you lend me? Um, there was always food on the table.
Uh-huh.
So I think basically all I'm saying is that God is good, man.
Oh, yep.
God is good
Hmm.
all the time, all the time. And
Right.
like you said, there are many. I mean, many of my cats here. I mean, having conversations with them, you can hear the hurt, you could hear the frustration. It's like, whoa. And it was a struggle, and for some, it still continues to be a struggle.
What
And
does it do though, Ian, when you are faced with this and you say that you don't want to come through it defeated, but what does it has, I'm sure it has opened your eyes, and I'm
oh
not
yeah,
saying you're as you, but
I
the
got you.
group, um,
Hmm.
to the fact that things cannot continue as they were if we come out of this on the other
Hmm.
side, that some
Yeah,
things got to change. You utilize the time to create, and Indra as well. And what stuns me is the fact that when I listen to your music, it's uplifting and not like a funeral dirge. Because if I
hmm,
was writing it at this time, I'm sure my music would be so melancholy that people would
yeah,
not want to pick it up. But no, your music, both of you, the music when you listen to it is uplifting. And we
yeah,
thank you for that. But things can't continue as they were, they've got to change.
yeah.
And so I'd be interested to find out what you saw, what you observe, and what do you think solutions are?
Wow, you're opening up a serious can of
But
because
we have to.
Indra is talking my language, and I can talk to her for the rest of the day because I'm often called a conspiracy theorist, but I just think I'm a realist, and I s- I say this a lot that we are third eye blind, and basically what I mean by that is that man, so it says that we are created in God's image and likeness, all right? So if that's the case, we have this connection, we have this spiritual, we have this embedded spiritual connection, we have a spirit of discernment that we don't necessarily take the time to tap into. You often hear people said, "Oh, my mind told me do this. The spirit told me do this," or I was walking down the street and the spirit told me walk on the left, or when I walk on the left, a car crashed into the wall. And we take stuff like that lightly. and it's just how we are made up because we are made in God's own image and likeness, but we don't take the time to tap in. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, you just gotta decide whether or not. Listen, man, this season that we're in is gonna drive me crazy, or I'm gonna move on from here. Um, Bob said, "Only the fittest of the fittest will survive," and it's evident. It is evident if you are not fit, not necessarily physically, but here, if you are not like in tune with God first, and then in tune with God in you, then in tune with yourself, and that can be the Trinity right there. I hope the theologians don't slap me against my head for saying what I just said,
No.
but you just gotta you gotta dig in, you gotta fine tune, listen to what God is saying, listen to what the universe is saying, and I mean, come on, man. I think a blind person can sense that something is up, and I was saying this all last year. 2020 is just a rehearsal.
Wow.
All right, 2020 is just a rehearsal.
Wow.
I'm gonna leave that right there.
Did you just
But we
give
were
me
supposed to be
some,
talking about my album, though.
I
We were supposed to be
know,
talking about
but
my album.
I don't do things like that. You know,
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I
I
got
go
you.
there to come there, and
Yeah,
because
yeah, full
you
circle.
did
Yeah.
not create the album in a vacuum, you know, that there
No,
were
no, yeah,
things which experiences that you had which gave you the intuition and
yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
emotion and feeling. So when we come back, we will talk about the album, you know, and we realize the depth of the spirituality and the faith that you carry in that body of yours, and the love that you have for your maker, and respect that he gave you all that talent that you have.
Hmm.
So we're going to talk about that when we come back.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay. It's a vibe. It's why I love to listen to his music, because it's a groove thing, definitely. So tell me about this piece that we're hearing in the background, Ian, and
Yes,
let's
this
talk about your album.
the album finally. So this piece is called Easy. Um, so I think this interview today is going to cause me to be very transparent and very candid. So I'm just gonna get it out the way, right? Um, I started writing in September last year. Yes, obviously as a result of the pandemic. After some time, I decided to start dating again, and it's just interesting
Ah.
that that also happened in September. Well, no, I was dating, but we decided to come public with the relationship in September. Um, that song "Easy" was written for her. Um,
Oh.
yeah, along with like two or three other songs and on the album. And I paid tribute to her because she was by my side for the entire pandemic. She kept me focused, and we just found a way to make it through. And Jesus, we're gonna end up talking about this thing again, and I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. Right. So, easy is all about. They say the pandemic broke up a lot of marriages, broke up a lot of relationships. So we just found a way to make it easy between us.
Mm.
Transparency again, it was just about me loving her easy. And
Oh.
so that's why the song is so easy. It's just a vibe.
It's a beautiful piece of music,
Thank you.
and
Yes.
I think that it reflects, there are some relationships, goodness, we've all gone through them, which have been
Yeah.
stressful
Hmm.
and drama, pure drama.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this music reflects then that particular relationship where it just flows,
Just
you
flows.
just
Yeah.
connect, and yeah, it's easy. It's
It's
and
easy.
that's
Yes.
perfect. That's perfect. So the album then, um, Diary of a Quarantine Musician, which I love the title, um,
Thank you.
is definitely reflective of that. The
Yes. Yes. Yes.
relationships that happen during quarantine
Yes.
and how easy they were. There was one, Joy,
Joy to
something.
my world.
That's
Joy to my world.
such a nice
So
piece of music. I love
it
it.
it the interesting thing about that one is that it's a Christmas song.
Okay.
But I didn't want to do the traditional ho 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 Merry Christmas snow. I wanted to take a different approach to it. And if you listen to it, it is more like an R&B, just R&B
It's a
groove, just R&B
lovely,
groove.
another groove.
Yeah, another groove. Um, nine songs. There's one song on the album. It's called Existence, and again, it speaks magnitudes. The title of the song speaks magnitudes, and I was just reflecting on the time and the period that we were in, and I started to write the song, and I just came up with a basic melody, but I just didn't know where to take it from there. I didn't know where to take it from there. And if you look carefully, that is the shortest song on the album. It's just like an interlude for like 1 minute and change.
Wow.
But it's a song that is just eerie, just eerie. The horn section is just like morning. Um, it's a reggae fusion, um, and
Fred
I just
Fields is
like.
telling you he's tuned in. Fred.
Hi Freddie, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in, friend. Yeah. And the interesting thing about it is that as I check the analytics of how the album is performing,
Mm-hmm.
Existence is the most listened to song on the album to date.
Wow. Okay. Why do you think that is? What does it
Man, I
touch in
think
people that makes them want to listen to that most?
I think it's the air.
No.
It could also be the title of the song that drew them in because folk are just looking for an escape. I mean, folk are just looking for an escape. And the latter bars of the song is just the bass and the drums, but it's just the pulse that you can just sit back, and that's how we wanted to create the entire album.
Mm-hmm.
You know, after these stressful days, you come home, you just want to put up your foot, go in the tub, pour yourself a glass of wine or a glass of Mauby or whatever, uh, and just like be like, you know what? Let me just forget about everything that happened out there today. I just need to just lay back and fall back. And that's why the album was created the way it created the way it was.
Right.
Um, just a vibe, like I said.
See, that's what I'm talking about when I talk about synergy and
Yeah,
linkages because,
yeah.
I just wanted this morning when I first started not to chat with anyone, just to
Hmm.
share with our
Yeah.
viewers what was on my mind. And that whole stress thing and de-stressing, it's interesting now. It's a through link in a link up today
Hmm.
with both you and Indra, talking about, here you're talking about finding a way to put your feet up in a bath with a wine and Molly, if you say, and that's a way. And then you have these
Yeah.
wonderful uplifting songs, the music from Indra, and the soothing, relaxing one from you, and this is incredible. But what is also interesting is that you both mentioned challenges,
Hmm.
life challenges. But yeah, I agree, Jackie. Two of the most humble humans I know, she says.
Well, hi Jackie, what's up, girl?
And one of the things that you word them differently, one, um, I'm saying challenges, but that's not the word you used.
Hmm.
But both of you approaching them and overcoming differently but similarly, if
Similarly,
that
yeah, yeah.
makes any sense at
It makes
all.
a lot of sense, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to both of you. So stay with us.
Beautiful. All right.
Thanks. Making connections today in the link up with Ian Bassbwoy Boyce, and we also have singer and writer and blogger Indra Rudder here with us today. And both of them have released new music, extended play, Indra, and a debut album for Ian. So here we are. We've got something like, I don't know, 10 minutes left where you have uh, an audience interested in finding out how do you tap in to that creative pulse and create during a time for some of darkness and of challenges. So I don't know which of you would like to touch on that first, but both of them spiritually in tune, which is so fascinating without chatting with them first. They both
Yeah.
of them, So Ian, you put up your hand, so go ahead.
No, I put up my hand because I was saying ladies first.
Oh, okay, all righty, Indra.
Uh,
Not hearing you.
I would just
Okay, good.
say to focus on the fact, like Ian was saying, recognize those things that we make small, the fact that we both share a common faith, because it didn't spring from ourselves. Maybe if I depended on myself, my motivation would run out, because not every day I personally or any of us wakes up feeling 100% great. But if your faith is as small as a mustard seed, that faith will grow and grow and grow once you continue to tell yourself the truth and remember to recognize the lies. Those lies are sometimes attached to our feelings, because our feelings are attached to moods, our feelings are attached to different variables that happen during the day. But when your faith is strong, it it helps you to bring a strength that is of God, is not of ourselves, which is why if I was writing a song sometimes based on my own feelings, maybe it could be a bit woe is me sometimes if I wrote it on the wrong day. But because I am compelled, because my father says so, and like Ian says, we are made in his image, to remember that I'm preparing a song is like cooking a food for somebody else. I personally don't like to be in my kitchen cooking a meal with a bad mood. I can't do it, because I wouldn't give somebody a meal that was created with frustration or stress or any sort of vibes like that. I wouldn't want them to eat that. So when I'm making music, even if I'm honest and the message is tough, I always I'm like prompted, or I always remember somebody's gonna listen to this meal. Maybe it might be somebody younger than me without the faith that I have. How will they interpret this? Um, as much as in my power to influence how somebody interprets the message that I hope that they would get. So for me, it's just I would just gently but firmly remind people that once you're His, and we're all created with love, once you're His, He will never leave and forsake you. And faith is not supposed to make sense. Like when it comes to logic and faith, faith will always win, but the world will always tell you that logic must come first, which makes no sense because there's many things that logic can't explain. And we all love to hear the word miracles, but it takes a very tough environment to be conducive to miracles. So sometimes we say we have faith, but we only really know the degree of faith we do have or don't have when we're tested. So that's how I was able, and I'm still able, to be making music. I don't always have a great mood every single day, but I make sure and start my day with the Lord in quiet time so that whatever happens during the day, I will be able to recognize the truth and recognize when I'm told a lie. Even if that lie is told through my thoughts, I'll be like, check yourself, girl, check yourself. So that's my personal way of feeding a good meal to somebody, because I have higher help making that meal.
Oh, speaking of that meal is something that I always say. You know, you talk about hypertension. You take a look at the chickens. The chickens are under a light for their entire life. They don't sleep. They're stressed out. No wonder when you eat the stressed out chickens, you are hypertensive because you picking up their stress, man. I firmly believe in that. And faith.
I don't know,
Faith.
man. I feel like I'm in church right now. I mean, there's so much to add, but I'm not. I'm going to try not to take away from what Indra just said. But quickly, Indra, it's good to see you again. I haven't seen you since the '90s, uh, where you would have come into the studio doing background vocals for a number of artists. So it's really, really good to see you again. And congrats. Keep the good work up. Hopefully, and I think that's why this show is called a link up. Hopefully, we can link up and do something. All right. So when you get a minute, listen to the album. All right. So um, I have this favorite quote: "To thine self be true.
Yeah.
To thine self be true," and I use it a lot. And I think one of our biggest challenges why we can't move on and go into that space and create is because we don't know how to be true to ourselves. We live in a time where it's about that 30 seconds fame on social media. Um, we we are forced to wear masks over the mask that we are already wearing. So, man, we just don't know how to be true to ourselves, and that's where it begins. So, to any artist out there who is still struggling, forget trying to compose right now. Forget trying to make that money right now. Find yourself. It's that simple. Find yourself. Um, and it might mean I've had to do a series of fasting. Sometimes you just got to put this nonsense down. Put it down for like an entire day. Um, give up a meal. Give up the TV. Give up something you love, and just go close your bedroom door, pull the curtains, and just zone in and have a conversation with yourself. And a lot of the times when we say God and faith, a lot of folk automatically think Christianity and religion. This isn't about either. Um, it's about understanding who you are, why you are here, why you were created. And like I said earlier, you're created in God's image, man. So don't let nobody tell you anything different. You know what I mean? Um, like the average child, we get disobedient. Our children become disobedient. Some of them move out the house. The prodigal son left the house, and then when he realized he made a big mistake, he went back home, and his father accepted him. So, um, you know, just find God. Whatever your interpretation of God is, let me just say it like that.
Right.
Find yourself. That's the first thing to do. And then you will be able to tap into your creative vibe as an artist. You're an artist. It's already there. You know what I mean? But just close out the noise for a bit, man. We get so caught up in, like I said, all the craziness that's going on around us now. And there's a whole bunch of nonsense going on about Dave Chappelle. There's a whole bunch of nonsense going on about red flags and just a bunch of. But just find time to shut yourself away, man, and
Right.
just zone in for like an hour and just look at yourself, man.
Yeah, that's
And
a
I
through
mean,
theme that I think
yeah.
that I'm picking up from today. If anything that you take away today, that you have to find some way to de-stress.
Hmm.
And it's not for, like we were just saying, not for 24 hours or not for 3 days, but you know, at least to find pockets in a day where you can recharge. If you look at it as a pot filling up with water, you know, every time something happens, something is going into the pot, it's going into the pot. There's going to come a time when the pot begins to overflow because it can't hold all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that is the stress that our bodies are going under. And so you've got to find some way to just release the steam. Every now and again, you know, put a little hole in it and let some steam come
Mm.
out so that
Yeah,
it'll go poof in the
yeah.
end. And basically that's it. So you are
Can I?
lucky that you can create music as a means of escape. But continue, please.
No, I was just going to say something really, really, really quick. And it reminded me of when I was mixing the album, coming on to the final stages. There was a day that, I mean, everything was like everything was boom, 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 boom. And I felt like it was going to combust. And it goes back to what you just said with our pressure cooker. Because I was taking on so much, so much, so much, so much. And I could not focus on what I wanted to do for the music. I had to, I just shut everything down. I got in the car and I took a drive to the water. Unfortunately, the beaches here can't compare to back home, but I love to go sit by the water. I took my yoga mat, just laid it on the sand, and just laid on the sand like this for like 2 hours, and
Wow.
just listen to the water, just listen to the wind. You got to do that sometimes. You got to find. It might be taking a walk on Spring Garden Highway. It might be taking a walk on Brandon's Beach. It might be driving up to Lord Jesus, I don't even remember what it's called, but
Browns Beach.
some, yes, and just sit there,
Yeah.
just sit, and just listen to everything,
And
shut
it's
out the noise.
free.
Yeah,
It's free. You don't have to pay for
yeah,
it. We're lucky that,
yeah,
we can do that.
yeah,
So, final words, final advice. Where can we, I asked Indra
yes,
this, but I haven't asked you, where can we get your music
yeah.
from?
The music is now streaming globally, all across.
Excellent.
I just checked the analytics again, and I just got a couple of hits from the Philippines, from Russia, Argentina. So it's traveling. It's traveling. Um, and again, the song that I thought would not take off is the song that is not the number one, the most listened song, the most listened to,
Existence.
whatever, existence. So um, I heard Spotify is now accessible in the Caribbean. You can get it on Spotify if you have Apple Music, if you have iTunes.
We can get yours
It's
on
on
Spotify,
Amazon
Indra?
also.
Indra, can we get yours on Spotify?
Yeah, now you can.
Good. Okay.
Beautiful,
So
beautiful.
that's fantastic. The app is available on all smartphones, so all you got to do is,
Yes.
download. Thank you both. Please continue to stay
Yes.
safe. Continue to keep me in the loop, so that I know what's happening with both of you.
Yes.
And
For
your
sure.
daughter is, definitely born on the best day of the year.
Oh, there's my baby. She just says, "I'm proud of you, babes." Oh,
There you go. Good dear, that's sweet.
she's gonna make me emotional.
Oh,
Oh, thank you for
Love you,
joining
girl.
us.
Love you, girl.
Thank you for joining us,
Oh,
and please stay safe, guys. Stay safe. All
thank
the
you.
best.
bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.
All
Thank
right. All
you.
right. All right.
I enjoy doing this on Fridays. Truthfully, I get to learn so much, but we also get to learn so much as a group. You're watching this, and you see that life is happening, and great things are coming out of strange circumstances sometimes. So when we come back, we're going to talk about challenges for some individuals and hope at the end of the tunnel. Lumbar stenosis, a very painful problem with your spine, but we're going to take a trip to the USA and chat with one of the doctors who is doing an amazing procedure. And we're going to find out just what it is when we come back. One of the guests that we have here today, we have to really say thanks to him for taking time out of his busy schedule. And I'm speaking of Dr. Jackson Cohen. He's the medical director, interventional pain medicine division at Memorial Healthcare System, which I understand, Dr. Cohen, is one of the largest public health care systems in the United States and found in southern Florida. So welcome, sir. Nice to have you join us. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Now, we hear about degenerative issues with your spine and so on. I'm thinking immediately of like bulging and herniated discs and so on. But is lumbar stenosis well known?
I think people know the term, but they don't know exactly what it is. And like you said, there's a lot of degenerative changes that happen as you get older, and bulging disc is a very common term. But stenosis is actually when there's bulging disc, there's enlargement of the joints in the spine, the ligament thickens to the point where the spinal canal gets narrowed. And a normal spinal canal might be this size, and a spinal stenosis, it's like this size. So that's what happens over time when the degeneration changes occur to the point where the spinal canal gets narrowed, and that's really what stenosis is.
All right, I think we might have a picture of that as you describe that to us. So when you talk about the spinal canal, now the one that I'm seeing that says before, this is obviously closing, and the other one is more open after. What causes that?
Right. So the disc bulging, the joints that get arthritis in them, the ligaments get thickened, and that kind of narrows the canal. And all those little, I guess, those are the nerves that's inside the spinal canal, and those get squeezed when it gets narrowed. And so when you stand up or walk, then you get pain in your back, down the back of your legs usually. And when you sit down, it actually opens up the space, and that relieves pressure off of the nerves inside. So the stenosis really affects the nerves that are going down your legs.
Okay, so when you're standing or when you're walking, the area becomes even smaller and can press down on the nerve, so that is what causes the pain. But then when you are sitting, then the space opens, so that's why you're not then getting any pain when you're sitting.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And that's what normally you see with people who have stenosis. They're able to sit and they have no pain. And then when they get up and try and walk or stand, they have a pain almost immediately. And they're only able to walk for a block or less due to the pain. And then they usually, if you see in a grocery store someone leaning over a shopping cart and they're kind of leaning forward as they're walking, that's usually a sign of stenosis. And usually it's difficult to stand up straight because that puts more pressure on the nerves. So you probably notice in your everyday life people walking around like that, or people that are just much more comfortable sitting because of those reasons. They might not know they have stenosis. They might just think they have a back problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you talk about, you mentioned arthritis and so on, but is this something that is caused by what? By trauma to the back of some kind? What causes stenosis?
Yeah, that's a good question. It could be from a lot of different things. Unfortunately, some people's spines kind of have advanced degeneration changes at a younger age, just for no reason at all, or it kind of runs in people's families where people have kind of bad backs and are more prone to have these type of changes. You can also have trauma, or you can, if you are very active or do a lot of heavy lifting or a lot of weightlifting, or these things put a lot of stress on the spine. So over time, it kind of causes these changes. But there's not really one particular thing, and it can occur at all different ages. Some people, younger people, can have this, but generally it's usually people that are 50, 60 years old, mostly 70, 80, 90 years old. our spines were not exactly designed to last for 100 years, but now people are living to 100 years.
They
So
weren't.
yeah.
They weren't designed to last that long. Oh my goodness.
I don't mean to say it like that, but I mean, that's one way to kind of look at it.
Yeah.
Walking upright for that many years, it just kind of puts stress on the spine. But we want to keep walking up and keep living our life to the fullest, up to however old we can be. So that's the goal of our treatments, is to allow people to have a good quality of life and function the way they want to, no matter how old they are.
Well, truthfully, when I heard about the procedure, one of the things that fascinated me was the phrase "same day," and I thought, wait, what? Because I, having experienced a disectomy, oh my goodness, nearly 14 years ago, I can remember it took like 3 months to, recover and recuperate. And here now I'm seeing same day and 24 hours mentioned in the same sentence when it comes to this procedure. So I'm thinking, wow, so talk to us about the procedure. Tell us how is it done? Who can get it, and about that magical recovery time.
Yeah, I think that as technology advances, the goal of a lot of surgeries is to become less invasive so that people can recover much faster. So this is a minimally invasive decompression surgery. It's the same day, like you said. So literally, after the procedure, you can stand up and you can walk. There is going to be some soreness from the procedure, but you're able to go home the same day. There's no restrictions the next day, so it's really that's one of the big advantages compared to traditional spine surgery. And it is very specific for what it's for. So if you have a disc herniation, or maybe something like you had a discectomy, this wouldn't be for that. This would be really for stenosis, for people that, like I said, have pain with their walking and standing, usually pain in the back and buttock, and then and sometimes some tingling or numbness. And then when they sit down, they don't have any pain. The goal of this procedure is to improve people's walking so that they can walk for longer distances, they can stand for longer, and just relieve pressure off the nerves. And it also is more specific because it really focuses on the ligament thickening. So like I said, there's the disc, there's the bones, and there's the ligament. And the reason this is very minimally invasive is because this procedure just focuses on the ligament that's thick. So we're actually able to go in with a small device. It's basically 1 centimeter incision, and we put like a little tube or device down to where the ligament is, and then we use a little instrument to remove part of the ligament. So yeah, it's shown there. And we're actually able to remove the ligaments, so like we call it debulking the ligament. So it takes some of the pressure off of the spinal canal by decreasing the ligament pressure on it. And a lot of times that's enough to improve people's symptoms, to have a better quality of life. It's not gonna, I mean, you can have great results, but it's not necessarily gonna completely take everything away. But we're talking about people who usually want to be able to walk to the grocery store, or want to be able to go to lunch or stand around and go shopping, So it's really a great option for people that are not really good candidates for traditional spine surgery for whatever other medical reasons, or the recovery is too much because they can't tolerate a 3-month recovery, or just people that want to try something before generally going into a bigger operation. But it is important that they're assessed by a proper physician and get the right diagnosis and understand exactly what they're doing.
Right, and this is when you have tried all else, all of the steroidal injections and the physical therapy and so on, and that's just not working.
Right.
So this is local anesthetic as opposed to general, I would assume?
So yeah, it's actually IV sedation, so IV anesthesia. It's like twilight anesthesia, where you kind of go to sleep, and kind of like a colonoscopy, if people have had that before. Now, in some cases, depending on how, the other issues that people might have, sometimes they do it with general anesthesia, but usually it can be done with IV sedation. But the whole reason that it's very minimally invasive is that it allows for the really fast recovery.
Right. So after this procedure, and you can walk out of the clinic or whatever the same day, go back to work the next day. How long does it last? You know, do you
That's
have
a
to
good
go
question.
back and get it done again?
Yeah, the goal is not to. They do have good evidence for this procedure for 2 to 5 year data of sustained relief, just like how you have it initially after. So I think for generally 5 years is what the data has gone to, and generally people have not had to have surgery or other procedures after this procedure, unless something new happens. But it has good evidence. It's really level, in medicine we call it level 1 evidence, when they do really good trials to make sure that they really tested it well and they know that it works if done the right way. And yeah, it's the fact that it's a same day procedure really appeals to a lot of people. I think, like you're saying, that's kind of what caught your eye.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So talk to me about the Memorial Healthcare system and your particular division, because especially if you just said to me cheekily that our backs are really and truthfully not designed to bear us up, for the length of time that we're extending it to now, and especially with many people being like me, putting even more pressure on our spines because of our weight. What are you seeing, within your division at Memorial Healthcare? What kind of challenges are you seeing with patients?
Yeah, no, I mean, so I specialize in spine and musculoskeletal pain. So I'm in the division of physical medicine and rehab, which is kind of a cross between orthopedics and neurosurgery and spine surgery. But we focus on interventional procedures, so the less invasive type of procedures for these conditions. And I mean, we just see there's a lot of people that have back pain and musculoskeletal type pain and spine issues. But we also see that we've been able to help a lot of people that maybe in the past they kind of said there's nothing you can do for you. So I really see the future really bright for a lot of people that have had back issues or spine issues where they're kind of in the in-between phase where they've tried some conservative treatments, they still have pain. They've gone to a surgeon, the surgeon says we can do a surgery, or it might be, or maybe they're not a good candidate for surgery, and the person's kind of in the middle, like, what should I do? I think that these treatments that we're kind of coming up with good evidence are helping a lot of these people in the middle zone. So there's just a lot of hope for, I think, now, which, that's my main goal when I see someone, is to always find the option for someone to help them in their situation.
How did you get involved in this field of medicine? I like to know the whys sometimes.
That's a good question. So not really related to the spine, but I actually played football, American football, in high school.
Okay.
Among other sports. But I had 2 knee surgeries in high school, and my orthopedic surgeon said that my football career was not going in the right direction, so I might want to look into something else. And he asked me to work for him in the summer when I finished high school. And that's when I totally opened my eyes that this is something that I really see myself doing, going and helping people that have injuries or need help, basically. And then as I was going through school, through medical school and everything, this field of kind of spine and musculoskeletal pain, helping people that kind of feel like there's nothing that they can do in certain situations, really was very rewarding. And that's how I ended up where I am here. But it was really because I kept getting injured playing football. That's how I became a doctor.
Well, how are your knees now?
They're good. Yeah.
Okay. And I cannot let you go without asking about this pandemic and how it's been affecting everyone. We watch you all here on our cable TV, the news channels and so on, and we've seen how, you know, it's hit southern Florida, but we've also seen how you've been fighting back. So how has your hospital, your public health system, been dealing with the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous for the hospital here. We've had so many patients that have come to Memorial, but the hospital has done such a phenomenal job, I think, managing the situation here, trying to always do the right thing, and it's just kind of there were so many people that were hospitalized at certain points that we had to shut down elective surgeries. We had to shut down a lot of normal running functions just to make sure we had enough beds and people to treat everyone that was sick. Fortunately, now it's improved since the past month, and numbers are definitely going down. And I really hope with the vaccine and other things coming out that the numbers will hopefully stay down. But we're very cautious here. We have a lot of protocols in place to make sure that it's the safest environment. And I mean, the leadership in Memorial and the administration has done just a really good job, I think, for handling the situation. But yeah, it's been difficult.
Yeah, we are now experiencing a rise in our cases. So, you know, any advice that you can give us would be really and truthfully appreciated. You're saying that your numbers are going down. So you mentioned vaccines. What about the protocols in terms of masks and physical distancing and so on? Because I'm seeing some of the beaches there in southern Florida, and I am not seeing any physical distancing. So
yeah, I think that depending where you are, and in Miami, they have not been the best example. I think maybe in certain places, a lot of people come here for vacation, and it's hard to control that. But yeah, I can kind of speak for in the hospital system, our policies and protocols, and we definitely feel like masks are very important. We still have the policy now to wear masks whenever you're in a room with people and a social distance, even though we're vaccinated, just because we know that it still slows the spread of the virus. Because with the Delta variant, you can have the vaccinated. Most likely, you're not going to get severely ill or hospitalized, but you can still carry the virus and transmit it to other people that aren't vaccinated. And the more people that are not vaccinated to get the virus, the more likely they get hospitalized. So the masks are really important. We still do that. I mean, we've been doing it for so long. It's kind of to the point where we just kind of accept it, but we know it's the right thing to wear the mask. And the vaccine, you know, I think that if there's not certain reasons not to get it, then I definitely recommend it, encourage everyone to get the vaccine. The risks of getting COVID, I think, outweigh the risk of the vaccine by far. And we've seen a big difference since there's been mandates down here with the vaccine of the numbers going down. So I think that the vaccine has made a difference in hospitalizations.
right, and I'm also seeing now mention being made of booster shots. What is that about in terms of how long, you know, what kind of distance after you've had your second vaccination that then you need this booster?
Yeah, so they've just come out with guidelines, I think, for the booster shot for the Pfizer vaccine 6 months after you receive the initial doses. So I've received the booster vaccine, and many people have had the booster vaccine down here that are kind of in either high-risk work environments or age. And I think that there's still, you know, as the things are still progressing, when, you know, I think there's the information we have kind of changes on a daily basis, so we have to go with what we have at the time. That's the best thing to do. And right now, I think, you know, the booster for certain people makes sense to get it, because it seems like the efficacy of the vaccine does wane after time. But it depends what vaccine you got. In the Caribbean, there might be different vaccines down there. So you really have to follow the guidelines and the studies that they have. But here we're getting it.
Yeah, we have Pfizer here in Barbados. We have Pfizer, we have AstraZeneca, and Sinopharm. So
Okay.
those are the three that we have. And I've had the AstraZeneca. I've had both my, I hate the word jab, but yeah, I've had that.
Yeah.
You know, so, but when it comes to surgical procedures and so on now, I know that people are concerned, you know, going to hospital or to medical facilities and having procedures done. So is there advice that you give to your patients who would be getting a surgical procedure, how they should, what they should do, how should they approach it? You know, how is it done?
Sure, yeah, I mean, it's very individualized. So whenever I do any surgical procedure, any procedure, we always discuss the risks and the benefits. And if it's a procedure where the potential benefits outweigh the risks, and you really need the procedure, and if you don't get the procedure, something else can happen, then we usually, usually people will proceed with the procedure. And it depends on your, I guess, how your medical history, your status, if you are vaccinated or not, the exposure you have around you. But I know that in hospital environments, because it's pretty controlled, that when you go in the hospital environment, since everyone is usually wearing a mask and they usually, it's a very cleanly environment, in that respect, that I don't think there's a much increased risk of getting it for going in for a surgical procedure.
Okay.
But if you're not vaccinated, then there's a risk, I think.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cohen. I know that, you know, you're really, really busy, and I'm grateful that you managed to educate us on lumbar stenosis and the mere fact that you can have that surgical procedure to ease all of your discomfort, and minimally invasive, and 24 hours you're, you know, back out and on your feet again. So thank you. Please continue to stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Definitely will. And thank you all for joining me today on the Link Up. I'm going to ask the director just to have Indra's wake-up call on standby, because nice and uplifting and a positive way for us to say, have a great weekend. But many linkages made today through theme. I think today you actually saw, faith, very important in overcoming, and also finding ways and means of de-stressing. So I hope today helped somebody. I hope, as usual, that you have your notepad and pen and you were taking notes, and that it's a good day for you. Please continue to stay safe, stay well, follow the protocols, wash those hands, wear your mask, physically distance. Those are tried and true ways, and they seem to work, and if you're thinking of getting the vaccine, please do. It protects you from having the disease really, really severely, so gives you a chance. So think about it, and you and your family be safe and enjoy this weekend. Find time for you. Find time to stay safe and sane. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.
The time is nigh, open up your eyes to see the signs of the times. Got to be wise to all of their lives. Look to the skies from where my help comes. Wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up above the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mire. Walk under the cover of the Most High. He is the only, the great I am. Keep trotting along to the promised land. Seek the light and His Most High plan. This is not a drill nor a game, I man. This is a wake-up call. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. You gotta wake up in these last days. Serious time, better get saved. Seek the Most High, give Him the praise. Unto the hills every hand raised. Gotta wake up in these last days. Serious time, better get saved. Seek the Most High, give Him the praises. Well, wake up, got to wake up from the slumber. Don't let them pull you under. Rise up above the water. Never let them wrestle you into the mire. Walk under the cover of the Most High. He is the only, the great I am. Keep trotting along to the promised land. Seek the light and His Most High plan. This is not a drill nor a game, I man. This is a wake-up call, 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 call. Wake up. Wake up now. Wake up. My people, wake up, whoa, 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 whoa. Wake up, oh. Wake up, whoa, 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 whoa. Wake up, whoa, 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 whoa. Wake up, whoa, whoa. Wake up. Gotta wake up in these last days. Serious time, better get saved. Seek the